Sexuality is an intrinsic part of many people's personhood and sense of self. As teenagers, we begin to date, experimenting with relationships and roles in the romantic world. Society shapes the way in which our sexuality is expressed. We learn, in sometimes jarring ways, whether we are sexy or not in the eyes of others, whether we are deemed fit to participate in sexual relationships. For persons with physical disabilities, participation in sexual life is complicated. This complication stems more from the attitudes of the world out there than the physical limitations of the individual.
I still sort of derive that sexuality, especially the identity part of it, from almost my environment, my society. You're almost socialized into the way that you're going to become or the way you see yourself. So as much as I knew that obviously I'm a sexual person, however, there are a few, what can I call them, curveballs that just make it slightly challenging to think of how sexual you are and how do you fit with your sexuality, especially into the society that you that you come from. So yeah, but obviously I'm very much aware of the sexuality part of my identity.
When disability is acquired, people with physical disabilities must learn to revise, redefine, and revive their sense of themselves as a sexual person.
After I've acquired my disability, I had to basically relearn to accept myself as a woman, as a sexual being. But I think that in time, and the way I feel now, is that I fully embrace myself in all aspects that I am, not only physically, because I think that I'm an attractive person. I think I embrace my womanhood, but I think it's very difficult to be able to express yourself in a completely feminine way when when the media portrays the perfect role of a woman to be tall, big-busted, upright. So when you're always kind of aspiring to be that person that is accepted by everybody, and what is more accepted is an able body. So it is difficult to sometimes, be truly feminine when society dictates how femininity should be portrayed. But in all, I think that I'm not too lacking in my femininity.
This process is often complicated by prejudicial attitudes from the general public, who believe persons with physical disabilities to be asexual or unable to participate in sexual relationships.
I think a lot better now than when I was tuned out to my accent. I think that's the main thing to reflect on. I mean, I'm an old man now. So the old as in 48, yesterday. So I think it's nice to be able to be comfortable, and having become comfortable with that again, since being a teenager who became an active teenager student life, living a student life, and became paralyzed and my world turned upside down. I just turned 19, and at the same time was discovering being out of school and being on my own and being independent and being a sexual being, I suppose, in the world. I realized I had two disabilities. I had my paralysis, and I had how people treated me, what they thought of me from what I was before. And I think that was hard to come to terms with. The big thing that hit me after my accident, I think, was feeling like a burden to people, especially in the home situation I was my mom had to look after me because my father died in the accident. So it was a tough thing to do. And suddenly I was like 10 years old again. But that links to sexuality because I didn't feel I had anything to offer. I didn't want to be a burden in a relationship. So it took me a long time to get over that. I cut myself off completely from being any kind of sexual being. And that lasted about 4 or 5 years. And that was my kind of process at the time. And it was linked to my feelings of not really wanting to be around for a long time. So to get over that, I got in a few relationships, and that kind of has slowly been part of how I matured and got to where I am today.
Part of the process of becoming comfortable with sexuality for all of us is dating. In the case of people growing up with a disability, they are often shielded off from mainstream society by going to schools for children with disabilities. This exclusion can make it difficult to adjust to a dating world outside.
Having had to go to boarding school from a very, very young age, which is a special school as well, we are amongst each other, if you will. So we didn't have a lot of time to go out into the world, be able to integrate to general society, if you will. So as much as we had sexual feelings, if you will, because obviously there were females within the school. However, the biggest challenge for us was, how is the bigger general world going to receive us? As much as we might have had a girlfriend within school, but you both have a disability, right? But outside, this is just someone who might be attracted, to you perhaps as just a human being. However, in your mind, you still got that whole issue of disability. So you sometimes end up not being sure of, is this relationship genuine? Is it out of pity? Is it out of some sort of duty? So those are the turns or the challenges one has to almost deal with psychologically, and maybe perhaps when I settle down, in an official sort of way, I can almost say, okay, no, maybe I dealt with it in a practical, good way.
Becoming disabled in the course of a relationship can create complications and problems between partners.
After being married for a year, I was involved in an accident, my ex-husband and I. In terms of my self-esteem, it wasn't good. In terms of my sexuality, it wasn't good. In terms of my accepting myself as a woman, it wasn't good. It was disempowering. And the relationship didn't last because of me being disabled.
When people with physical disabilities are married or in relationships, they are often confronted by non-disabled people who are shocked or surprised that they are married.
People don't expect me to have kids or be married, and they get a shock sometimes when they see a wedding ring. So, are you married? And it's surprising quarters. I mean, sometimes I'm in company who I would think would be okay with it, and some people are really. I think after being in a chair for 29 years, I kind of cut off to stuff now. In the early days, I told a lot of people where to go in funny situations and would make jokes.
Sometimes the negative attitudes do not lie in the world outside, and people with physical disabilities may find that they are scared or unsure when it comes to dating in a society which they fear might be rejecting.
In the beginning of my relationships, I wasn't very confident. I wasn't, I didn't have a good self-image. My body. I have scoliosis. I have, my body's a bit deformed and so on. So that would be my first, thoughts. Will he, how will my body be, not attractive, attractive to him, and although, will it spoil what I think we have and so on. So that's a kind of fear.
However, despite challenges, many people with physical disabilities lead successful dating lives and pursue long-term romantic commitments like marriage.
As a partner, I think I was able to give quite a lot to a relationship, immaterial of the fact that I am a person, that is differently abled.
A complication in relationships between people with physical disabilities and their partners, though, is care.
I didn't feel I had anything to offer. I didn't want to be a burden in a relationship. So it took me a long time to get over that. I cut myself off completely from being any kind of sexual being. And that lasted about 4 or 5 years.
However, care and dependency are not insurmountable obstacles to meaningful, equal, and exciting romantic relationships.
When I became paralyzed, I remember being the one relationship I had, when it began, I thought, well, I don't care anymore. If this happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not going to get hung up about silly things about what I look like or, am I long enough, short enough, tall enough? Is my breath that bad? I don't know. I just, what else can go wrong? So it was, in a way, kind of a release to say, well, hey, what else can go wrong? So in that kind of way, I took maybe a bit more, perhaps blasé about it, gave me more confidence, perhaps. Or maybe just because I didn't worry too much about things. And then, again, you realize what's important. And if someone wants to be with you, they're going to be with you. If they're not, they're not. And that's pretty much what happened.
So, people with physical disabilities can and do have fulfilling sex lives, date and get married. They also have children. Certain physical disabilities do have an impact on one's capacity to have children. However, there are medical technologies which can help willing couples to conceive.
We tried a couple of times naturally, and my sperm count was low. And we worked out it's a numbers game. We approached the Cape Fertility Clinic, got in touch with them, tried artificial insemination, I think 3 or 4 times, which is a cheap option. And then after that, when that didn't work, we went for IVF, and that worked first time. But it's a numbers game. It increases your percentage from, naturally can be like, I think, 2% or 0.5%. AI is about 5%, whereas IVF is like 35%. So in the second one, we went straight for IVF and just didn't waste time. I think we might have tried naturally once, I can't remember. But that was, and it worked, so that was good. A couple of things you can do. I had sperm frozen a long time ago when Em and I got together, when we got married. And so that's there. But when we tried, again, I'd produce a fresh sample, so to speak, and that was like the fun part. So you try to make fun of it and try to keep something happen. So I was doing that in the morning. Em had to go, carry a little jar back up to the clinic, 5 minutes down the road. I think kept in a bra, something to keep it warm, that type of thing. So those little stories kind of make it intimate. And then again, when we had Benjamin, I did the same thing. I said, well, let me try a fresh sample again, and it was fine. So it's nice to know that when it happened. I guess it's kind of day of conception. That's pretty cool.
However, once again, problematic societal attitudes crop up.
I have mixed reactions, I think, maybe because they think that, I'm a person in a disability, I'm sitting in a wheelchair, I'm disabled, how could I possibly have 2 children? And it's easy, I'm a woman. I have a reproductive system, I had sex, I popped out 2 children.
Even the partners of people with physical disabilities are not immune to the assumptions and attitudes of others.
So for me, I've just got used to it all. When we got in public and Emma was pregnant, she got a lot of funny looks from people, she said, with a guy in a wheelchair. And we were in Pick and Pay once. I think that's the thing about inappropriate reactions. And Emma and I were in Pick and Pay, and a couple of ladies saw, oh, wow, look at you. How do you guys have sex? She said, ask Emma. I was in the bread counter. You think, that's totally inappropriate. Unless it's in the correct setting, and that's... So, but we're faced with a choice because you want to change attitudes, but not in the middle of a shopping mall.
When it comes to disability, we may assume so much about sexuality and what can or cannot be done. People with physical disabilities often feel that other people look at their disability first, not at the person they are.
I think my sexuality I got comfortable with a long time ago. Fatherhood, I guess, is just an extension of that. It's more, and when I lecture, when I talk about it, I show a picture of me and myself on the beach with James chasing me and playing with him. And I say, my identity in society is a father and a husband. And I think that's crucial. Because my key thing is, when I speak to you in my presentations, I stopped for a point. I said, what is inclusion all about? And I turned to the audience, normally it's students, and I said, well, you guys, we are social beings. When you go out and you meet people, what are the first questions you ask? So a bit of to and fro, and there's people say, what are your name? What are you studying? I said, what do you do? People say, what do you do? Next thing, are you in a relationship? And it always comes out. In a few minutes, people come up with these questions. Are you in a relationship? There's a bit of a giggle around there. And I say, exactly. So those things define you in society. What can you do? What do you do? Are you in a relationship? Are you married? Are you single? And I said to the audience, I say, what do you think people ask me when they see me? What happened? Everybody gets it. What happened? I said, that's it. And that's what sucks, because it goes no further than that. People don't expect me to be able to do anything or be in a relationship because I'm in a wheelchair. And that's the difficult part. That's what we want to change around.